Hello. For my final project, I will be discussing the experiences I had with my coworkers and management team at my last job at MetLife and connect them to Henry Fayol's Principles of Management. First, I would like to start off by providing some background information on MetLife as a company, as well as an overview of what my job description was. According to MetLife.com, MetLife is a global provider of insurance, annuities, and employee benefits programs that was founded in 1868. The core value of the company is to become one MetLife, meaning that all areas of the company work together to put customers first, be the best at what they do, make things easier for their customers, and share one another's success within the company's commitment to honesty, integrity, and diversity. I was a customer relations consultant at MetLife. I handled customer complaints regarding their representative and their point-of-sale purchase. It was my team's duty to investigate the concerns across our 50-plus IT systems, client files, multiple departments, and the sales office in which the complaint came in. For instance, if a client felt their agent sold them a product that wasn't in their best interest, they could reach out to my department and we would contact the representative, look at their client file, and see what payments, if any, they were making, and conduct further investigations if need be. Basically, it was our job to determine if the agent was in fact wrong or if the client signed off on a policy stating they were aware of the terms and conditions, and in fact they were not. Our management team consisted of 2 direct managers, a department manager, and the vice president for our division of the company. There were some truly great aspects of the department's management dynamic, however, there were also many not-so-great aspects as well. The fact that there was an open-door policy made communication with them more accessible, and being that there were 2 of them made it better when there was a need for immediate assistance and one of them was unavailable. Another benefit was that they were managers by experience, meaning they worked their way up and did the jobs of the consultants prior to obtaining a management position. However, some things that were positive about the management team was also negative. Having more than one manager caused a lot of confusion, and there was a lack of management education for them. The fact that they were managers by experience is great and all, but they lacked a degree, let alone any management experience and training, so they didn't know a lot of the best management practices or management theories that most management teams have. And that was clear in a lot of different aspects, especially when organizing meetings and trainings. It was just very clear. And another con was that the lack of drive that they had to support the team. And by this I mean that there were many times they withheld pertinent information from us so we would not be distracted by our work. As stated, I will be using Henry Fayol's management principles to relate my experiences to management theory. The article titled Contributions of Henry Fayol in Management Field discusses Fayol's management theory and how it revolves around how management interacts with their staff while offering theories on how to carry out their duties. Though his principles can be used across a wide array of organizations, he ensures that he understands all companies are different and lead to different circumstances. Therefore, there is flexibility within his 14 principles. And having the ability to utilize his principles requires that management has experience, intelligence, proportion, and decision skills, which is discussed in Wren and Bedian's The Evolution of Management Thought. So in an effort to bring together both my experiences I had with my management team and the organization as a whole, I will be using Fayol's Principles of Management to describe the management dynamic and company culture I faced while at MetLife. And I will also be offering insights on what I feel could be changed to increase the overall success of my old department and boost morale. Fayol has an impressive list of 14 management principles. However, not all of them fit with my experience, so I will be centering my focus in on 8 of them. I will be discussing division of work in relation to consultant assignments, order and how we save time and utilize human and physical resources, esprit de corps and the relationships within our department and the company as a whole, authority and my manager's authority style, unity of command and issues pertaining to having more than one manager, remuneration and performance incentives, scalar chain and how it relates to the chain of superiors and the blurred lines consultants often face, and stability of personnel, and how it related to withholding of information during the hiring process. The first principle I will be discussing is division of work and how it relates to the casework my team handled. An article by S. Simichka titled 14 Fundamental Principles of Management formulated by Henry Fayol discusses Fayol's theory that, as far as possible, the whole work should be divided into different parts and each individual should be assigned only one part of the work according to his ability and taste, rather than giving the whole work to one person. At MetLife, consultants compiled casework, which I briefly explained earlier. Each consultant was responsible for a queue of cases. Each case is broken down into what the product is. Some consultants are responsible for whole life cases, others are responsible for annuities, and so on. On a company level, various departments provide information for the consultants. For instance, when a case comes in, the underwriting department has to make the client's medical examination records available, while the tracing department has to scan in documents that may be missing from the IT systems. Our management team deals only with cases that have been escalated, meaning the client no longer wants to work with a consultant, but instead their superior. By breaking up the cases into categories and assigning the work to the appropriate consultant, the work is handled more in depth because the consultant specializes in a specific case. Additionally, having teams that provide certain documents make it easier for consultants because they already spend so much time searching for information on the various IT systems. Going off of the division of work, I will be discussing Fayol's order principle of management. According to Rita Nikita Pathak, Fayol's order principle means to have a sensible arrangement of things and activities, and that there's a proper order for everything. Fayol divides organizations into two different orders, material order and social order. Material order states that there's a rightful place for all physical resources, which eliminates confusion and reduces waste of time and effort. Social order means to put physical resources in a place according to their designation. Fayol uses the line, the right person for the right job, to describe such an order. As far as material order goes in customer relations at MetLife, we had a specific order to utilize IT systems. Certain systems were to be utilized first because oftentimes they held the most information, and there would be no need to search the many other systems. This was a smart thing to do because it cut down on wasted time. You check the most, valuable system first for the most information and then went from there. A way that MetLife utilized social order was in an interesting way. When an employee is dissatisfied with their position, they can speak to their manager and request to be placed in other areas of the company where they feel they would thrive best in. Interestingly enough, when I told my managers that I'd be leaving the company, they made it a point to ask if there was another area that I would like to work in. Of course, that area was located in North Carolina, and I wasn't willing to move, but they made an effort to find a position that I would best thrive in. Merriam-Webster defines esprit de corps as the common spirit existing in the members of a group and inspiring enthusiasm, devotion, and strong regard for the honor of the group, which is exactly why Fayol believes this notion is important. Fayol understood that real talent is needed to coordinate effort, encourage keenness, use each man's abilities, and reward each one's merit without arousing jealousies and disturbing harmonious relationships, according to Wren and Bedian. As a team, and management aside, the customer relations department radiated with esprit de corps at MetLife. This is very important to me personally because I was so new to the company compared to the majority of the department. Everyone was welcoming of help and we relied on each other like any good team should do. And as a team, we just generally got along well. However, when discussing esprit de corps when management was involved, I noticed from the very get-go of my employment to the very end that the group's attitude went from positive to negative on multiple occasions. The managers just seemed to lack the team spirit that the rest of us had, and I think that's just because they were so focused on getting a task completed that they didn't pay attention to the culture of the department and how we helped each other complete everything. So in my opinion, had the management team loosened up a bit and were more team-oriented, I think that the overall esprit de corps of the department would have been phenomenal. To really delve into the areas in which I feel management at MetLife could work on, I will discuss the scalar chain of authority. Scalar chain is essentially a line of authority from top executive all the way down to the low-level employee. To argue against using a strict chain of command, such that I feel was used by the managers I had at MetLife, an article by Carl Rodriguez states that organizations should continuously redefine what is expected of employees, possess low formalization, and implement ongoing change programs. An organization can only create an atmosphere of maximum creativity if it reduces hierarchical elements to the very minimum, and create a corporate culture in which its vision, company philosophy, and strategies can be implemented by employees who think independently and take initiative. I think this closely ties with another principle Fayol had, which was authority, and that is defined as the right to give orders and to exact obedience, according to Wren and Bedian. I believe that the managers I had focused in more closely on Fayol's original method of chain of command or scalar chain. Every change that we had throughout the department, from the change in the structure, the letters we sent to our clients, to a change in the emails we sent throughout the company requesting information, had to be run by our managers prior to going out. For me, this wasn't a huge issue because I was so new in the company that it made me feel more comfortable knowing it was being reviewed. However, for those who have been going through the same changes, doing the same job, day in, day out, for 5, 10, even 30 plus years, they were frustrated in the lack of responsibility and trust the managers let them have. Being able to work independently, much like Rodriguez discusses, creates a much more positive working atmosphere and gives workers a confidence boost. I feel this is an area where the management team at MetLife could definitely work on. Our text states that Fayol found that where there is authority, there is responsibility. This is true in every aspect I can think of. Now, I understand the management team wanting control over the team's work. However, Rodriguez further argues that the best managers should act more as coordinators rather than authorities, to give team members more autonomy and control over their work, which essentially boosts overall individual and company morale. If management teams assign job responsibilities to team members, shouldn't they have the authority to do their job within reasonable limits on their own without micromanagement? In my opinion, the answer is yes. Fayol's unity of command principle is one that can also be closely tied to the scalar chain. Earlier in my presentation, I discussed the benefits and disadvantages of having more than one direct manager. The unity of command principle is expressed by Fayol according to Wren and Bedian as, for any action whatsoever, an employee should receive orders from one superior only. Every day that I went into work, I was led by two managers, who had the same overall objective and who led in similar ways. However, there was a lot of confusion and frustration with having two managers. Sometimes we would be told two different things, and a lot of the times they had no idea what the other manager was working on. So when assistance was needed, you pretty much had to start from the very beginning to get an answer. An article I found titled, "What is the Unity of Command Principle?" states that simplifying the chain of command helps to eliminate confusion in the workplace. Businesses operating under this principle are effectively eliminating the risk of confusion among employees. This further increases the company's efficiency. With fewer communication issues to which to contend, employees may perform their work more easily. I think this is so incredibly true. There should be no more than one manager to report to, so that there is an avoidance of confusion and so that it is ensured there are no blurred lines with management. Next, I will be discussing remuneration and bonus incentives determined by management at MetLife. To determine remuneration, an abstract by Chandra Poudyal defines Fayol's management principles as remuneration of the personnel is the money employers pay in return for work to the employees. Fayol argues that remuneration, wages, and salary of personnel working in the organization needs to be fair to provide satisfaction to both the employees and the employers. I will gladly admit that I was compensated quite fairly as a consultant. However, I was told that my starting wage was a lot of my coworkers' current wage, those that have been there for many, many years, and that high expectations were to be met for any sort of increase. Their high wage was an effort to attract young professionals, and of course it was expected that they work hard for that wage. However, what I think is wrong is not properly giving out performance incentives for those making the high wage right off the bat, especially when they're working very hard and deserve some sort of, incentive. Now, I was only there for 6 months, so I never experienced a performance evaluation. But I had coworkers who were there 3 or 4 years who started with the same wage I did. And they were very hard workers, they rarely missed work, and I know for a fact that they didn't receive a single bonus in their 3 and 4 years with the company. And yeah, sure, the big wage right off the bat is a big incentive to work hard, but receiving no incentive to keep working hard seems as though it would only lead to a lack of effort in the future. The last of Fayol's management principles I will be discussing is stability of tenure personnel. I chose to discuss this principle because I feel the management team I had were just mediocre. According to Pryor and Tanja, the old way of thinking about Fayol's tenure of personnel was that the long-term mediocre manager was better than managers who come and go. However, today we use this principle to justify that great managers who only stick around for a short while are better than mediocre managers who stay around for a long time. Being a great manager means low turnover and hiring the right people for the right jobs. In Introduction to the Principles of Management quotes, "It is seen as desirable within an organization to have a low staff turnover rate. This is due to the benefits that come with having experienced staff and the time and expense needed to train new ones. There should be a clear and efficient method of filling any staff vacancies that arise." I believe this principle in today's interpretation to be true. I, along with others who were hired with and before me, experienced a major issue with management, and is clearly a stability of tenure personnel issue. During the hiring process, we were not told significant job duties and expectations, among other things, and we were provided just false information about a lot of what we had to do on a daily basis. This job isn't a glamorous one. We have to deal with a lot of angry people, and we have to be the bearer of bad news a lot, and it's my belief that the management team went to drastically incorrect measures to fill the positions that were in need of immediate fulfillment at the time, and their managerial instincts told them to straight up lie during the hiring process to make it seem more of an attractive position. It comes to no surprise to me that when I left the company, only one of the 7 people hired within the past 8 months remained. This assignment helped bring light to the problems with my old management team. Although I already knew this, it taught me more specific ways in which I will strive as a future manager, rather than hold back from my team such as these managers did. I want to conclude this presentation by offering suggestions for the management team that fit more clearly with Fayol's principles of management to become the best managers they can. To boost company morale by following esprit de corps, the management team should loosen up a bit. This doesn't mean lose focus of what needs done, but sometimes it's okay to be a little more laid back. Enjoy special events, like the Christmas party, without being too businesslike. For scalar chain and authority, notice that those who have been with the company for many years probably don't need the same supervision as newer employees, so offer more trust and authority to them. Instead of unity of command being reporting to 2 managers, assign half the department to one manager and the other half of the department to the other manager. For remuneration, make incentives within reach to all employees at all levels. If an employee doesn't deserve it, then don't reward them. But if their performance clearly does, offer them something, perhaps instead of a bonus, an extra day off with pay. Lastly, for stability of tenure, Bring in mentors to help coach management teams to be the best fit managers for their specific situation. If they're having problems with keeping employees, then bring someone in that can help with that. And the most obvious improvement will be to tell future and current employees the truth at all times, no matter what. It will only help in the long run. Thank you for watching my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions.